Good afternoon, Huskies, and welcome to the first of 4 Career Hack workshops tied to our Elevate Career Programming initiatives. My name is Joshua Prue, and I'm the Director of Alumni Engagement here at the UConn Office of Alumni Relations, and I will be your moderator today. On behalf of the UConn Foundation and the School of Fine Arts, we are excited for today's discussion featuring 2 of the School of Fine Arts' best and brightest, Matthew Pugliese and Noemi Kearns. Before we begin, as always, a few housekeeping items to help you manage your webinar participation today. First, there will be an opportunity to ask questions by typing them into your question box on your control panel. As you think of them, feel free to type them in, and at the end of the presentation, we'll get to as many as possible. Second, a short survey will be sent to you in a follow-up. We would appreciate if you could fill this out so you can bring us the type of program, or we can bring you the type of program you're looking for. And as we begin looking into next year's series, we would love to be able to take some of these relevant topics for you as well. Third, the webinar is also being recorded, so please visit our youtube.com/UConn alumni page sometime following this presentation to review and share with your friends. Lastly, be sure to check out our upcoming events calendar for upcoming webinars, as well as other area events that are happening in your regions at uconnalumni.com/events. Before we get started, as you all probably have read their biographies, our speakers today are no strangers to success, as both have had stellar careers and established themselves as forefront leaders in their respective areas since leaving UConn. Matthew Pugliese joined the Connecticut Repertory Theater as managing director in October 2013 and became executive producer of the Nutmeg series in October 2016. In addition, he has been an instructor in the MFA Arts Administration program at UConn. Previously, he has also served as executive director of the Oddfellows Playhouse Youth Theater in Middletown, Connecticut, which was named in 2013 by Connecticut Magazine as Connecticut's best children's theater. Prior to that, he served several seasons as the production manager at the Ivoryton Playhouse, where he directed Julius Caesar, Moon Over Buffalo, and Shakespeare's R&J. He directed That Poor Girl and How He Killed Her in CRT's Studio Workshop series, and he's also worked professionally as an actor, director, playwright, and teaching artist. Matt holds his Bachelor's of Arts in Theater Studies from the University of Connecticut, his graduate certificate in nonprofit management, and his master's in public administration, again, all from UConn. In 2012, he was selected by the Hartford Business Journal as one of its 40 under 40 young business leaders in Connecticut. Our second panelist today is Noemi Kearns. She is the founding and principal and creative director of the award-winning Ink and Pixel Agency, which is formerly known as How to Design. Noemi attended University of Connecticut in Storrs, where her father not only taught design, but was her professor for 4 semesters. She received her BFA in graphic design. She was immediately hired after her very first job interview, where she then worked for Newman Design Associates, Peter Good Graphic Design, and WYD Design, prior to opening up her own agency. She is based in Guilford, Connecticut, and Noemi has worked with clients that include Fortune 10 companies and has produced work in 11 languages. Her client portfolio represents a diverse range of industries, including pharmaceuticals, healthcare, finance, academic, insurance, consumer products, food, and beverage and retail. Noemi has also taught graphic design at Middlesex Community College and continues to serve on their board. Other memberships include the American Institute of Graphic Arts, Connecticut Art Directors Club, and the Young Audiences of Connecticut. Noemi currently serves as Cultural Enrichment Chair at A.W. Cox Elementary School, where she loves introducing new artistic experiences to the next generation, and she continues to bring energy and inspiration to the basketball court too, beginning her 5th season as head coach of her daughter's basketball team. Welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for sharing your time and talents with UConn Nation today. The show's yours.
Thank you, Josh. We're really excited to be here today.
Self-promotion in the digital age. We're living in a major digital world, and it's your marketplace.
Why is this important? In this increasingly digital dominated age, it is important to find the right way to stand out as a business. Whether you are a visual artist, a singer, an actor, or a gallery owner, you're running a business, and you need a strategic approach to market yourself.
What makes today's landscape so great for promoting yourself and your business? The accessibility of the internet. It's also your biggest challenge. You're one of many people trying to get noticed. There's a lot of visual noise on the internet, but there are ways to make it an effective tool for yourself. What will you gain? From today's webinar, you're going to gain tips, we hope, for creating a strategic plan, insight on how to tell a compelling story that will engage prospective clients and sell your brand.
And we will also touch on some cautionary tales for protecting yourself in today's digital age.
We titled the presentation Self-Promotion in the Digital Age because there are many different platforms to use today to tell your story. That is what self-promotion is. It's simply telling your story.
But a story needs to be clear and compelling. You need to know who you are and what you are trying to achieve. What is success to you? You need to know who your audience is and how to reach them. You need the most captivating way to showcase your skills and talents. So before starting to promote yourself, you need to determine who you are. Write down 2 or 3 sentences that would make a stranger understand what you do.
In today's digital world with global connections at your fingertips, you need to know exactly who your audience is and market yourself directly to them. But that doesn't mean you're going to only use digital methods of communication. That depends on your audience.
It's critical to come up with super specific demographics of who your customer is. What is their name? Where do they live? Education level, income, job status, gender, likes and dislikes, etc. The more clarity you can have at this step, the better your results will be.
Once you've determined who you are and who you are trying to reach, know that you don't have to use every single medium available to you, but only focus on the outlets where your customer will most likely interact with you.
The good news is good content is good content, and a good message is still a good message. The only difference today is that the delivery mechanism has changed. The digital age has made information immediate. Today, media is fractionalized into all forms of delivery. Smart entrepreneurs and businesses must understand all of the tools, traditional and digital, and use them efficiently and within their budget to deliver the highest impact.
It's never been easier to find who you're looking for. With analytics and data capturing through each outlet, you can know exactly where the person you want to reach is spending their time and their money. So how do you reach them? We'll begin with traditional bricks and mortar businesses or arts organizations, a storefront, your gallery, your theater, your business. It is a place for selling, converting potential customers into paying customers. How do you promote that? How do you drive traffic? Traditional media means print, postcards, flyers, signage, print ads. Radio and TV spots.
From buses to billboards to signage and interior graphics to guerrilla marketing, you're looking for large-scale interaction. So contrary to what you may have heard, direct mail is still a big deal. Imagine reaching those who want to hear from you. Imagine taking your solutions to those who need them most. Imagine making a positive impression on those who've never heard of your business or delighting those who have. You need to get prospects to rip open your envelope, packaging. You can use sound, lenticulars, dimensional, tactile production techniques. You can take advantage of premium mail, and you can add value with personalization. And always comes back to data. There's a general assumption that the advent of digital means direct marketing is no longer useful, but this just isn't true. In fact, technological advancements in online and data spaces make direct marketing that much more effective and valuable.
Merchandise. It's not just cheap pens and plastic toys. Merchandising can be a valuable means of connecting with customers, raising awareness of your brand, and boosting sales. You need to create clear objectives and measurable results. At Connecticut Repertory Theater, we turned a thank you gift into a marketing tool. We give our summer staff, over 150 people, t-shirts with our theater name and the shows we produced that summer on it. After a couple of years, we started hearing, "Oh, you're the theater with the t-shirts," when we were in New York City doing auditions. We were hearing this from people we didn't know, people that hadn't been at our theater. Now we give UConn t-shirts to all of our guest artists, and we watch them show up in random photos on Facebook and Instagram years later.
Websites. The website is your digital storefront. It is your online brick and mortar in the internet. It is the place you convert your online digital customer into a sale.
Many new organizations are starting to create Facebook pages only. A Facebook page is great because it's free, but it's really more geared to the Facebook marketplace. Email. This allows you to reach your core audience, fans, and followers cheaply and effectively. Email also allows you to do a lot of simple data collection on your audience. What are they clicking on? What aren't they clicking on? Email can be transactional. Do you want to buy this? Or it can be more than that. At CRT, we've evolved our email strategy to blend transactional marketing, and deeper storytelling. Each email allows you to purchase tickets, but the reason to click and explore is to view the video that takes you behind the scenes and to show you something truly unique. Podcasts and blogs are long-form storytelling. It's like your Sunday newspaper feature. Now, a podcast is a lot of work to keep going, but at the same time, you just need a microphone and a computer to get this launched. A blog is simple. It's a place to do your long-form storytelling, whether it's an interview, a profile, an opinion piece, and start to connect the dots for your audience, the why they should buy.
Video. Video is captivating. It drives more online interaction than anything else, and it's a great medium to tell your story. Once you create a video, you can use this on multiple platforms. It can be on your website, helping to provide a deeper, richer experience to someone that is only one click away from a purchase, or it can be on social media platforms. Social media and sharing. Sharing, this is the biggest buzzword in media for 2018. Sharing is a term used for the internet, which is an easy to share content engine on any digital platform, whether internet radio, YouTube, web TV, social networks, email, or more. One click of a button and content can be shared and then shared again endlessly. Aim always to create shareable content, whether it has a humorous appeal, educational, or a total wow factor. The power of sharing will take you anywhere you want to go with your business or your secured client press. So an example this past year was the hashtag #MeToo campaign, which spread like wildfire because it gave women a platform to speak out on something that was considered taboo and share their own experiences. This type of sharing was so inspiring because it provoked empowerment and provided light during a dark, controversial time. And it was a community uniting all through the power of social sharing.
But going viral is not the goal. That's not a strategy. It's great when it happens. The goal is to create engaging content through a strategic plan for your social media.
You don't have to use every single medium available to you, but focus on the outlets where your customer will interact with you. Look back at your audience demographics. What is the best strategy to reach them? With data capturing, you can know exactly where the person you want to reach is spending their time and money. Pay attention to Google Analytics, understand algorithms and how they're used and changing, and then understand retargeting.
When we talk about promotion in the digital world, I'm sure you thought we'd be starting today with social media. It's a big part of the landscape. So how do you use social media effectively?
Social media is not a place to just exist. It requires strategy, thought, content, a budget, and yes, a plan.
68% of all adults 18 and up use social media. It is a digital marketplace.
73% of all adults who use social media use YouTube. Video is king. Creating high quality videos may or may not be aligned with your work, but if you are able to even show a clip of your performance, a time-lapse video of your process, or even an informational video about how to use a tool or material, it's a good way to gain an audience.
68% of all adults who use social media use Facebook. It has evolved into its own unique marketplace. 35% of all adults who use social media use Instagram. But 68% of adults use Facebook. It's a platform that's perceived by younger people as a website for older generations. Snapchat, on the other hand, is used by 78% of 18 to 24-year-olds on social media, and it drops down to 54% among adults ages 25 to 29. So go back to your specific customer. Are they most likely to be active on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, or elsewhere?
29% of all adults who use social media use Pinterest. Pinterest is much more popular with women than men. 41% of people who say they use the site versus 16% respectively. LinkedIn is used much more by higher income college graduates.
So now that you've picked where you want to start, how do you get social media to work for you?
Remember, social is right there in the name. You need to be engaging and outgoing. Make your captions worth reading. Use popular but not oversaturated hashtags. Utilize features like carousel images, and don't forget to use videos. They can be short and simple. They are shared more frequently than posts with just photos, and 49% of people who use videos grow their business faster and drive more revenue than people who don't.
And remember, interactions are a two-way street. You don't need to like and comment on other people's posts and like and comment on their comments. Pretend your account is a storefront. You wouldn't let people come in and talk to you without welcoming and responding to them. Build a community with your like-minded organizations and artists.
So the first thing that you need to do, and keep in mind that this is something we work with our clients on over a long period of time, 6 to 9 months, sometimes a year or 18 months. Strategies typically are a 3-year plan. For your self-promotion strategy, do what you love, but also treat what you love like a business. Start by asking yourself, what are you trying to achieve? You need to determine your goals. Are you looking for a job? Are you looking to sell artwork? Are you looking to promote a show?
Be specific. Put a time frame on your goals. For instance, maybe you want 3 new contracts in the next 6 months, or perhaps you want 5,000 new followers on Instagram in the next 6 months. Maybe you want 25 sales via your website. By having a clear goal that has a date attached, you're able to analyze your success rate and modify your approach. Your plan will most likely depend on your specific goal and your audience. It'll be a mix of traditional and digital and social, but most likely it will include making sure your website represents you well and consistent, timely posting on social media.
Set a budget. Whether you're trying to promote a Facebook post or you are sending free merchandise or tickets to followers, make sure you set a budget and stick to it. Social media platforms always try and upsell you, and lots of people ask for free things. Everyone thinks they're an influencer. And it's easy to get caught up in that. Always remember, it is not a good business plan to spend more money than you have coming in.
Execute it. Consistent posting is key to social media. If it works better for you, there are websites like later.com or Hootsuite that you can use to organize and prep posts and have them automatically scheduled to post to your Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook accounts.
Analyze and revise. The internet loves analysis. That is why algorithms are always changing. Use the tools available to you to track what's working and what isn't, and always refer back to your goals to see if you are reaching your milestones. There are apps that track who follows and unfollows you on Instagram, as well as followers who don't engage and who are looking through your feed. There are plugins, which are sometimes standard, like if you have your website through Shopify, that track which social media platforms are funneling the most traffic to your website. Today, we're going to give you 2 examples of what we've just been talking about.
So I'm going to take you through Connecticut Repertory's theater's promotional strategy, which combines a mix of both traditional, earned, and digital strategies. Connecticut Repertory Theater is a brick and mortar theater, and my #1 job is to sell tickets to 9 shows a year. Even in a digital world, it's important to set a strategy that's comprehensive. Selling theater tickets on a university campus creates a wider audience than one might have in a normal regional theater. 30% of our audience are college students. They don't have to come. We have to get them interested in coming to see a play on Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, when there's other things they might want to do. The remaining 70% of the audience looks like your standard arts audience, with the majority ranging in their 50s to 70s. We find ways to continually deliver impressions of what, when, where, and how. What sells people to come is the why. So for every show, we're using public signage, flyers, direct mail, radio and TV spots, and purchased print ads. We combine that with email marketing, paid online advertising, and social media. This is to create awareness. It's an impression. We aim to have at least 7 points of contact for our potential audience member, whether that be student, staff, or the theater lover that lives 30 minutes away. Traditional marketing, postcards, newspaper print ads, signage, this is just another hit of awareness. The what, the where, the when, and the how. Just a passing impression to keep reminding people what, when, where, how. We drive them to our digital storefront so that the impression can then be converted into a transaction. They buy a ticket. If the what, when, where, and how have convinced them, that's a really easy sell. But digital has what traditional media lacks, the ability to click. That sign that somebody sees on the street, they still have to have another action. When they're interacting with things digitally, you have the ability to make that conversion happen a lot quicker. It's direct access. If you get home from work at 9 p.m., you can't call the box office. If you forget the postcard on your kitchen counter in the morning, you lose the number. We use the interplay of traditional and digital to drive people to the website to make their purchase. I keep repeating that most of our traditional methods are driving the what, when, where, and how. It's the why that makes the conversion. That's the storytelling. Traditionally, that has been earned media. If you've been in the arts, you know that it keeps getting harder and harder to get feature stories in the newspaper, radio, and TV as arts coverage has continually been shrinking. This is where social comes in. We use social to create earned media. It's the why. It's our story. At CRT, we always write a press release. Sometimes the papers pick it up, sometimes they don't. It's hard to figure out why. So then we decided to do something different when we had a cast of all Connecticut students. We created local press releases. We adapted it so that each one featured a student in a different town. We then placed these in the Hartford Courant town sections and also into the local papers in each region and into the hyperlocal online outlets for each town. Once it became about that individual, more outlets began to pick things up. Here we have a story that was picked up by the New London Day about the director of our current show, She Kills Monsters. This is Madeline Sayed, who grew up in Norwich. So once these outlets with an individual exist, we then share it with the individual that's the subject on Facebook, on Twitter. And we found that they get more shares, likes, and clicks than anything we posted on our own page. It's because people care more when the story is personal. You might not care about my theater, but you care if your nephew is performing in his first play ever at my theater. So once you have this earned media that you've created yourself, whether it be your podcast, your press release, or your blog posting, social media does two things. It lets you target your audience cheaply, and it gives you scalability. You can take that story about Madeline and broadcast it to more people through various channels, different audiences, and speak directly to them, the targeted audience that you've chosen. And it's efficient and it's cost effective. Once we connect the right audience, we motivate other people, other outlets to begin to promote our show. We're making it in their best interests to sell our story, and we've aligned. Then we use social to do a lot of repetition. We try to spread one piece of content out to various channels to hit different audiences. The video we create can live on YouTube, on the ticket page on our website, be shared on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then finally, we use Instagram towards our college and high school audience. Sometimes we're planting seeds for later. The high school student that follows us may not attend the play, but they may choose to attend UConn. It's a lot of work, but it's our primary function as a theater to continually develop our audience, maintain the current audience, and bring in new people. We're constantly looking back and marking our sales to see various impacts of email, direct mail, and social, and how that impacts our ticket sales. We try to learn and try to revise.
So I'm going to talk about a campaign strategy. So this is a little different because we had a specific timeline to the goals that we wanted to reach. 85 Wishes was a fundraising initiative to honor my father, Paul Zelansky, who was a professor at the University of Connecticut for more than 37 years when he passed away. Our work developing and implementing a project called 85 Wishes had a defined timeline and a clear goal. In 4 months, we needed to raise $25,000 to establish a permanent scholarship at UConn. To achieve our goal, we had to clearly communicate in the most efficient manner possible and take a multifaceted approach to reach as many people as possible. Our first step was to create the concept and brand this campaign. 85 Wishes for what would have been my father's 85th birthday was the day that we launched this. We wanted to create a brand that could live beyond the initial campaign, something so personal to us, yet that would have broad appeal. The next step was to curate a gallery of 85 pieces of his work, photograph the art that we were selling, design and build an e-commerce website that would function as an online gallery. As word spread and collages were sold near and far, we created a map widget on the website to foster a sense of community. And this is really important with anything digital and online. We created an emotional connection to this campaign, that we were all working together to reach our goal. Then we landed a corporate matching grant, so we were able to keep the price of the art affordable, which was a really important factor for us in keeping this accessible to all. We created a video to tell our story when we launched this campaign. We developed animated emails through MailChimp, which enabled us to send them to a large number of people and track who was opening the email, as well as any click-throughs to the website. We produced merchandise, small buttons and posters as free and low-cost takeaways from the exhibits that were also included in the branded packaging of the collages that we sold through the website. We started business pages at both Facebook and Instagram to be able to share the story of Paul Zelansky's legacy and the goal of 85 wishes. So with this, we were able to not only show what we were doing, but we could show his personality, show who he was as an artist. It gave us the opportunity to have conversations with students that had known him for decades. Generations of people came forward and had wonderful stories that we could share. We also sent traditional press releases via email into a variety of publications, as well as all the schools that my father had attended: Cooper Union, Yale, Bowling Green, all of his alma maters, and any institutional galleries where he had exhibits. So the press release landed us a 6-page story in Inc. magazine, which we were able to then design. And because of all the press and the momentum our campaign gained through a variety of different medium, we were offered 2 back-to-back exhibits of Paul's work at Silver Circle Gallery in Putnam, Connecticut. Because of all the sales of the art were going completely to the scholarship, the gallery even waived their usual commission. And so we made sure that all of the marketing was very clear about what we were doing, why we were doing it, and that all of the money was going directly into the fund at the university. We were able to reach our goal. It was a very emotional day, 1 full month before our deadline. And so now the next phase of this campaign for us is to continue to fund the UConn scholarship and grow into merchandising. So this circles back to having created a brand with mass appeal. Who doesn't want 85 wishes? They are much better than the standard 3. So it can be easy to become friends or connected with someone in a digital world, but it requires thought and strategy to convert social media connections into rewarding business relationships. So what we just talked about, and with the campaign that I shared, it was about quality, storytelling, engagement, and that all equaled the bottom line. So with today's presentation, we've covered a lot of ground in a very limited amount of time. And the great news is there are so many opportunities to promote yourself to a global audience that simply didn't exist in the past. Literally, the world is at your fingertips. Now, what are you going to do with all of those possibilities?
Well, if you put cool things on the internet, Noemi, people are going to steal your ideas. Maybe it'll be a single person making things for themselves. Maybe they will sell it through Etsy or print-on-demand marketplaces like redbubble.com, or it could be a major retailer with a reputation for stealing, like an Urban Outfitters.
While this is not an original quote, this is original art by Cassie Turpin, created for International Women's Day. And the irony was not lost on her when she saw that she had been stolen from. For New York Fashion Week, the paper goods company Papyrus stole her lettering, and as did the fashion house Alice and Olivia, with a collaboration with each other but that excluded Cassie. Here's another example. So the Stay at Home Club is a Canadian business, and it's one of the companies regularly ripped off, beginning with imported goods from China. This is an example of their work, which is the small sticker Stay at Home Club, and what was produced in China, No Go Out Association. So they basically kept a sense of humor as long as possible, even producing a knockoff t-shirt. But in interviews, the owner, Olivia Mew, has voiced her frustration that they play by the rules and always pay their collaborating artists commissions, yet the huge retailers just don't bother. And this is an example on Redbubble. And this is an example of the larger British retail River Island. Now, you might not think this means anything, but River Island is talking about 925.8 million pounds in annual revenue. So when confronted about it, retailers may pull the product, but they will tell you that they were unaware that it was your work. They may even have the nerve to tell you that they are more popular on the internet than you. And this is what happened to Tuesday Basin, an artist out of Los Angeles. The British retailer Zara stole her designs and then responded that, quote, "It's very hard to see how a significant part of the population anywhere in the world would associate the signs with Tuesday Basin because of the millions of visitors to Zara's website." And so Zara's appropriated so many independent illustrators and designers' work that now there's at least one website started by artist Adam Kurtz that enables shoppers to see the original and the counterfeit side by side with hot links so people can support the artist creating the work. So how can you avoid having your ideas stolen and corporations making money off them? Unfortunately, you can't entirely. Even if you stayed off the internet, you couldn't completely avoid it. And if nothing else, you should always add watermarks over your images and embed metadata that tracks it back to you. But the most fail-safe method is to register your designs. Now, we understand that's time-consuming and that can really add up. And truthfully, it just isn't something that enough artists are doing. But we bring this up as creative people. It's one of the risks in entering the online marketplace. This is an example of Urban Outfitters, and you'll see Society 6 was the original artwork that was created. The company Bam Bam ripped it off and created fabric, which then Urban Outfitters used to create the skirt. So there's a lot of places where you can find information on what to do.
The performing arts are seeing more and more of this in the last few years as well. Directors, designers, and choreographers are going after productions that they never would have been aware of before, copying their original direction, design, and choreography. However, on the other side, the artists have found out because of this work, because of the sharing on social media. There was recently a case in Connecticut where a community theater was issued a cease and desist for copying the design and directorial work from Hartford Stage.
And the truth is that this isn't just happening because of the internet. This has been going on. As soon as something was published, people had the opportunity to copy and steal your work. They've done it. We've had it done out of traditional print media. But the point is that there's a breakdown now because everything's so accessible online that people don't necessarily understand or appreciate that they're stealing. They'll start with looking for things online to come up with their own ideas to then make something, not realizing it's intellectual property and you're actually taking away from the artists that have created the work. So this is a really big and broad topic.
But the takeaway is that even though you're in a digital world, don't think that you don't need to focus on traditional media as well. Social media is still media, and you need to approach it with a plan, and you need to be strategic.
And don't bite off more than you can chew. Start slow. Focus on your audience, and that will help you guide what strategies and platforms make the most sense for you. So, Josh, this is where we left off for today. I don't know if there are any questions.
Thank you so much, Matt, Noemi, for all the information here. we did have a few that came through, but while I get to these really quickly, if I can send a quick note out to everybody. If you do have questions, now's the time to go ahead and type those into your toolbar. You should have a question section that popped up for each one of you. If you have anything that's come across your mind as you've kind of gone through this presentation today, feel free to jump in and plug those in right as you think about those now as I read these. So the first one came in. What is the impetus to sharing? What is it that really should spark me? What is it that I should be doing? What is it that should be coming forward? How do I know what to be sharing so that I'm attracting the right people?
That's an excellent question. And I think that, what we're telling you today isn't hard and fast rules. It's not that this is the only way to go about it. But one thing is to always keep in mind what your goal is. Again, this is about self-promotion, and this is about creating business and conversion. So it's not necessarily about getting likes, but it is the creating a conversion, which is basically the call to action. So turning something into, ooh, this is what I love to do, or this is a hobby that I'd like to turn into a business, or I'm at a place where I want to change careers. What you then need to think about in terms of social media is the business aspect, which is keeping what your goal is and who your target audience is in mind. Think about who your customer is. And like, if your customer is looking to buy artwork to hang in a kid's room, maybe you show that artwork with some cute kids in it. If that's not something that they're interested in or can relate to, then don't show kids pictures. It's kind of the same thing. Social media, there's a lot of pictures of food and what you're eating. And if you're going to be doing and sharing things, make sure your photograph is amazing. Make sure that the quality is incredible, or put it on your personal page. But if you're going to use it for business, make sure you're keeping business in mind, and think, if this were to go to a future employer, if this were to go to somebody that I hold in high regard professionally, is this what I want them to see that I'm doing? And understand that it's social, and it's not about everything needs to be a hard sell, because that's going to fatigue people. I mean, our campaign with 85 Wishes was so successful because we were able to blitz in a short amount of time. If we were that aggressive over a long period of time, it would fatigue people. So, and I think that Matt touched on this, people want to see why you're doing something, not just what you're doing. So there's a rule out there, an 80-20 rule, where 80% is basically sharing behind the scenes and getting people interested, making that emotional connection, and then 20% is actually selling.
And if I can just add to that, on your social media, you should be trying to develop your own voice. Just like in your own creative work, you're developing your own voice. You want that to exist because you want your creative spirit, your energy as a person to come through. And so when you think about what sharing means, it also means sharing something of yourself. And so that's a good guide in terms of following that 80-20 rule.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. One question that just came in, and I think is relevant to some of the things that we were talking about today, is also in terms of what you should expect in terms of how long is it going to take for me to start seeing some results?
That's an excellent question. And I think, again, there's not one answer that's going to hold true to everyone. But one of the things that I think is an interesting parallel to that question is, for example, singers that come out and people are like, oh my goodness, they're an overnight success. And the reality is, no, they've been singing since they were able to talk. They've sang in the choir, they've sang at church, they've studied and practiced and really honed their craft, but yet they were discovered one day and it seemed immediate to their audience. So I think that, a standard rule of thumb, if, again, as Matt had mentioned, you're doing this very consistently, is 3 to 6 months. The reason that I wanted to share the campaign that we did was we were able to reach our goals in 3 months, but that's a specific campaign. When you're looking, for a business application like the Connecticut Repertory Theater, your goal is more to gain traction, and it's to be able to withstand and continue to grow over a long period of time. So you kind of don't want to be that one-hit wonder. You want to be something that has a legacy and is still relevant 10, 20, 30, 50 years later.
Thank you for that. One question did come in regards to Google Analytics. Hopefully you guys have had some experience there. It's more along the lines of, can you speak more about utilizing Google Analytics, the technical aspects for those that might not be the tech savvy?
That's an excellent question. And the thing about Google Analytics is that they are gathering so much data that sometimes it's overload. And we find that with our clients, we kind of pare down the amount of information that we supply, because oftentimes it's not anything that they're going to act upon. So usually what we try and do is get weekly reports and have an overview. You need a starting point though, because what's most critical is to be able to see the growth that has happened. And so you want to know where you started and then where you're going with things. So you have the capacity on a website, for example, to see how people are reaching you, whether they're using Google or Bing, if they're typing in the web URL directly, if they're searching through keywords. There's so much in terms of data mining that's out there and available, that the more you want to analyze and dig, the tighter you can get to having action items that you want to act upon. You can see how long people are, what the bounce rate is to your website. For example, if they got there by accident, you can see if they're getting there through other links or social media. You can see how long they're spending on your website. You can see basically, like for a lot of our clients, they'll say, oh yeah, when they come to us and they want to redesign their website or update their brand or look at a new strategy, they'll say, oh, people are just going to our website for directions, or people are only going to the the website for hours. Or, one client was very surprised that the longest amount of time people spent on their website was under a glossary of terms. And so the thing about the Google Analytics is it tells you how people are using your tools, and it gives you the opportunity then to modify and say, okay, if people are only going to our website for directions to our business, then we're not using that tool properly. We need to have relevant content. We need to communicate something to our audience so that they want to come back and look at us as a resource. And by doing that, it then in turn ranks you higher among Google. So this in and of itself could be an entire webinar. In terms of social media, the algorithms are constantly changing. And how you rank in Google Analytics is also constantly changing, because what they're trying to do is make sure the user experience is most tailored to the user. And you'll see that when things happen, like Facebook buys Instagram, they change the way the analytics are run. And so now as a business, as an end user, you might be like, wait a minute, why is my feed all messed up? And why am I seeing this? And what happened to this person that I followed or this business that I followed? But you need to understand then as a business that they've modified the algorithm. So the way that you interact needs to change so that, again, you're coming up in people's feeds. And then knowing the audiences are becoming more savvy to basically paid advertisements. And so you'll find that with certain audiences, they're going to things like Snapchat because it's just a social feed, and you're not interrupted by paid advertising.
Thank you very much for that. One other question that did come in, what do you recommend if somebody provides negative comments or, as we know in the social media world, there's often, Noemi, I think you and I talked about this offline, there's a troll that might be following you and giving bad publicity. What do you recommend to try to combat those negative comments or those negative reviews you might see?
Well, I mean, on some platforms, like on Facebook, you can remove that from your page or hide it so that it's not public. So if it seems to be something that's more somebody sharing their own particular bad experience, you can hide that and you can contact that person offline. So you can try to understand and address their concerns so you don't have that negative voice out in the community. And so that's how I would start to address somebody that doesn't seem to be just kind of a troll.
And I do think it's important, the way that you respond, because businesses and global businesses have seen this happen, that it is important to not get defensive and to not censor and respond right away publicly, and then contact them offline, like Matt had said, to not kind of continue this back and forth. Because I do find that behavior around social media, I find, just as a human being in today's society, it's astonishing how how things can escalate so quickly, and how people can say things that they'll say on social media that they would never say to someone's face in a party, or to someone that they haven't met before, which is often how things engage and escalate. So the challenge with social media is that you are not the only one in control over your brand. And that's, people do get to comment, they do get to say things, they do get to post reviews, restaurants get negative reviews and things like that. And it's just, it goes along with the landscape. It just happens to have a global reach immediately. So you have to pay attention. You can't just post and go away.
Great, thank you. What do you both recommend in terms of places that folks might do some additional research in terms of obtaining more techniques?
I would say Skillshare.com is an excellent place, as well as lynda.com, and that's Lynda. Creative Live is a good one, creativelive.com. The last page that we had in the deck, which was How University. And then I would say, anytime you can be active within club memberships, certainly in AIGA, which is American Institute of Graphic Arts, CADC, the Connecticut Art Directors Club, ad clubs, places like that also have your best interest at heart and have a community where you can be a part of a collective, I think is a great learning experience.
And I would just add to that if you Google social media strategies, just like with everything right now in the mainstream news talking about the quality and the sourcing of any information, pay attention to that. Try to find things that are coming from organizations that you're aligned with, versus just going to the first result that you look at and trusting that that's the best information that's out there.
That's excellent.
One other question that we do have as well, one is surrounding, as a small business, what can I expect to spend in terms of marketing and self-promotion in terms of digital marketing?
Well, you can really start in a small way. The nice thing about Facebook ads and Google ads, for example, is that you can really do a small limited budget. So if you only want to spend $20 and you only want to advertise, to people that live within 20 miles of your brick and mortar location, you can do that. So you can really control it. And so start off in a small way. Don't start off and set up $1,000 budget if you're a small organization, and get your feet wet and explore first to see what kind of results that you're getting, and make your mistakes when you're risking a small amount of money.
So we find that with businesses, I completely agree with what Matt just said, and that small businesses with less than $5 million in revenue should allocate about 7 to 8% of their annual revenue to marketing. And that's marketing as a whole, because one of the things that I'd like to stress, that this is about self-promotion. And one of the things that I find really rewarding, having been in this industry almost 3 decades, is that I still get to wake up every day and do what I love to do for a living. And so at Ink and Pixel, we do, every year we do a self-promotion / holiday gift, that the concept of what we're making and we're giving to our clients is based on charitable giving. So we'll pick a local and a global theme that we want to support, and then we'll create something, because we're makers, we're creative people, we like to physically make things, And then, so this year, for example, we made soap and we gave to Clean Water in Flint, Michigan and Africa for building clean wells. And so we made soap. We videotaped behind the scenes. We designed the label and the packaging and the letter that went in the soap and how it was to arrive. We now have it as merchandise on the website, and we're able to make something, share the experience, share a little behind the scenes of the experience, send that to not only our client base, but people that we'd like to work with, and use social media and video and other ways of communicating that as well, so that what we're sharing and showing people is truly what we want to be doing, which in the end is creative people trying to make the world a better place, done through beautiful design and clear marketing and communications. Something that then engages people to also give and see that anything that you do and want to do can actually become your life's work.
Matt, not to put you on the spot, but I think this question might be one that you might be best suited answering. One of the questions that did come in is in regards to UConn's current offerings in terms of some of these type of marketing aspects for those that might have been with UConn prior to the digital age or the pre-internet as really the primary source of marketing. Is there anything that you can recommend for somebody to get themselves additional training? Is there things that UConn can offer specifically you might be aware of that we can recommend that these folks go towards?
Yeah, I mean, being very focused on UConn's School of Fine Arts and the Department of Dramatic Arts, there is an online certificate program in arts administration. So if you're looking to, from far away, try to better your skills in the marketing area for your more arts or creative focused organization business, that would be a place to start. And there are courses within that on marketing, and it covers things in a broad way. UConn also in recent years has started a program in the School of Fine Arts in digital media. I'm unsure if they have online offerings, but if you check out, I think it's dmd.uconn.edu, you should be able to explore that.
Yeah, the digital media design program is definitely gaining traction and world-renowned attention as we speak, and that's a great recommendation, Matt. That seems to be the last of the questions we've received at this point, so if I can ask Noemi to advance the slides real quick, I want to just point out a couple of quick things. One of those, obviously, is the next of our Elevate Career Hacks online programs that we have. We obviously want to make sure that we're gearing things to a variety of different areas of interest, and the next of that would be How to Talk TED, talking about oratory communication skills and how to give dynamic presentations, utilizing our career coaching partners, Pro-Tem partners. They are the preferred vendors that we utilize for career and management consulting. So if you have any interest there, it is on April 11th. That is going to be at 12 noon Eastern time as well. That also will be recorded and provided on our UConn Alumni YouTube channel as well. You can access that at s.uconn.edu/career-hacks, along with the variety of other upcoming programs we have as well for our Elevate Career Hacks programming. Noemi, if you don't mind. And then for all of our fine arts folks, we are taking a real strong interest in a lot of the different things that are happening really in our own backyard in New York City. So if there is interest for our fine arts folks and for our folks from all variety of schools and colleges, we are going to be launching a huge program this spring in May, from May 11th and 12th, where we go backstage at the Met, as well as Art Hop in Soho. And then we are also going to be taking a deeper dive behind the musical theater curtain, where we jump into the band's visit, all having access points with UConn alums throughout these. One of our professors is going to be taking us on a tour of the Met, as well as the band's visit. One of the producers is actually a UConn alum who's going to be speaking to us and taking us in a deeper dive there as well. So want to make sure folks are aware of that. You can access that at s.uconn.edu/all-access if you want to learn more about timing, pricing, and everything else that's included along that. So make sure you check that out as you go as well. And really, that's a wrap for today. So big shout out to Matt and Noemi for their time and their talent that they were able to share with us today. They did provide their contact information, so if you have questions, they are willing to follow up. If you want to jump back in there, here we go. Matt is obviously available through UConn and Noemi through her Pixel Agents, Income Pixel Agency. Please feel free to reach out to them and follow up with questions. And then, of course, this has been recorded, so we will be posting this through our youtube.com/UConn alumni page. So give us about 24 hours or so, or by Monday, I should say, we should have that up and running for you to take a look at. So again, Noemi, Matt, thank you very much for your time. Couldn't have been better panelists for us today, so thank you both very much.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you, Matt.
All right, thank you very much for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next time.